People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person, you think you won when you played here and conquered. I said, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here.
On this channel, I talk a lot about race, racism, faith, how all of that intertwines, and how today we have so many people that are longing for the day of being oppressed, longing for the day of being a victim, longing for the days of Jim Crow. They may not say that, but in the way that they act, in the way that they hunt and look for racism, that is the impression that they are giving, and that is the message that they are conveying. As I've mentioned over and over and over again, I am a child of the South. I grew up in Mississippi. I went to school at the University of Alabama. I have a deep, deep appreciation for the people that came before me, for the people that actually had to deal with real racism. The stories of not being allowed to go into a restaurant, not being allowed to drink water from a water fountain simply because you have more melanin in your skin. See, those are the true accounts of racism that we don't hear about in today's discourse. Those are the true accounts of those who lived it and has shaped their mentality and has shaped the way that they live their lives. We don't hear that. Because in today's world, we've been pitted against each other. You have this camp that is constantly talking about oppression, constantly talking about discrimination, constantly talking about racism when it's not real. And then you have this camp that wants to deny that it existed, that wants to deny that those things took place. As Christians, we speak the truth in love. We recognize the atrocities of the past, but we don't dwell on them. We recognize that our foreparents overcame so much because they believed in God, because they had a real relationship in Jesus Christ, and they did not go to these church plant churches that constantly preach about oppression and victimization. So when you listen to this message from Reggie Jackson and what he experienced, I hope you understand the perspective from where he's coming from.
Emotional is it for you to come back to a play that you played with one of the greatest teams around?
Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled, walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, can't eat here. I would go to a hotel and they said, can't stay here. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The year I came here, Bull Connor was the sheriff the year before. And they took minor league baseball out of here because in 1963, the Klan murdered 4 black girls, children, in 11, 12, 14 years old at a church here and never got indicted. They were from the Klan. Life magazine did a story on them like they were being honored. Had it not been for a white manager and Rudy Fingers and Duncan and Lee Myers, I would have never made it. I was too physically violent. I was ready to physically fight some. I'd have got killed here because I'd have beat some and you'd have saw me in an oak tree somewhere.
I wanted to play that because that's the thing that infuriates me the most about these modern day civil rights leaders. These people are not fighting anything like what our foreparents, what my parents and grandparents had to deal with. My mama has told me stories about how she was walking down the street and they would call her the N-word. I've heard stories about how people that I knew could not go into certain places. How you had to look the other way when white people were walking up the sidewalk. How you had to get off the sidewalk if white people were walking near you. So I know those stories. And yet I thank God Because through the power of God, through the blood of Jesus, and through the beauty that is America, we have overcome that. But instead of celebrating that, instead of acknowledging that, we have people that want to take us back. And I'm speaking directly to my black brothers and sisters. Don't let these people use the atrocities of the past that Reggie Jackson talked about. Don't let them use that to bring us to a place to where they want us to be their useful idiots in their revolution. These people, regardless of, I'm not getting political here, regardless of political party, the people that want to destroy America don't care about you. Don't you see what they're doing in Chicago? They're replacing you with these folks from Central and South America. They're replacing you because they don't care about you. That's why they have Planned Parenthood, abortion centers directly in your community to constantly keep your population at bay. Keep our population at bay. That's why the federal government wants to have programs that destroy the black family, wants to have programs that make black women dependent upon the government, that intentionally disrupts the biblical order within the black community. And yet we have these pastors who don't see what is going on because they are a part of it. They tap dance for the government. They tap dance for their liberal puppet masters. And they walk, and you have these people walking around because the new generation wants so bad to be a part of a cause. The church has done a poor job of preaching the real gospel, teaching the real gospel. So they desperately want to be part of a cause. And so older people understand that, and they manipulate these people into getting outraged over stuff that really does not matter. When the rare occurrence happens of a white police officer killing a black man, think back to the time 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago when they actively sought out black people to kill. When they actively sought out black people. Think back to that. We don't live in that day. And so don't buy into the lie that these people are selling us, that we are victims, that we are oppressed. We're not victims. We are not oppressed. We are empowered for greatness.